So I think I'm allowed to reveal this at this point. We are finalizing. We're trying to finalize a Coleman Hawkins interview on the Sleepers channel for next week. We have gone back and forth with Coleman. Coleman proposed that we record on Monday. So that would be Monday, June 17th in 3 days. We have asked, like, what time do you want to do? And we haven't gotten that solidified yet, but we have spent the last couple of weeks figuring out what do we want to do with Coleman Hawkins. And I think we're going to get him on the channel maybe as soon as Monday. I hope it happens Monday because I have a lot of questions I want to ask him. And this is a fun time to do it. Like, hey, are you doing this just to troll Hunter Dickinson? Hey, how excited are you to play with Doug McDaniel? Tell me, Coleman.
You want to do a real-time reaction? Because Shams just tweeted that Coleman Hawkins committed to Kansas State for a $2 million NIL deal.
This is live right now?
This is live right now.
Coleman
From
Hawkins
Shams and Tipton. So it's 100% accurate.
Okay. Okay, sorry for the choppiness, people. We're just going to drop everything from the first 10 minutes of this video. Live on Sleepers channel right now, Brian Ralph and I were recording that he canceled his LSU visit. And
again, didn't take a rocket scientist. Take a rocket scientist.
Coleman Hawkins has committed to Kansas State. Shit. $2
million.
Wow.
I think that was the demand that other teams didn't want.
Okay, you know what? Carter Elliott is, I think, in the air right now. He's flying home from Florida, but he just texted me, holy shit, with a link to this. Let's call Carter Elliott into the show.
Hello.
Carter, you're live on the Sleepers Media channel with me and Brian Ralph. We are middle recording of Coleman Hawkins' commitment. Coleman Hawkins is going to Kansas State, Carter. Your thoughts?
Get paid, young man, get paid. I'm also in the middle of Publix right now.
You're in a Publix right now?
We thought you were on a plane.
Right now, awaiting a sub before I get in an Uber to go to the airport, but I'm not leaving here without a Publix sub on my man.
Wow, I thought you were going to be in flight right now. But, Cart, are you happy for Coleman Hawkins, newest Kansas State Wildcat, Doug McDaniel teammate? Do you like this fit?
I love this fit. I also love this fit for me. If I can get selfish real quick, like I get Doug and Coleman. Like I'm a Wildcat, and I hope that you join. I know Ralph's going to join me, but I hope you do as well.
I'm really upset that you get to claim Doug McDaniel. That's the biggest thing that I'm upset about. But all right, Cart, safe travels home. Thanks for picking up. And I just broke the news, by the way. Coleman Hawkins might be on the Sleepers channel next week. So maybe we can ask him some questions about this.
Wait, before you hang up, how's Ralph's beard looking today?
Ralph's beard looks great today.
I already knew that before I asked it. All right, I'll see you.
Goodbye, Carter. All right, so Coleman Hawkins. I'm sorry, folks. We're all over the place. Coleman Hawkins just committed to Kansas State. I just said this, but we are supposed to have Coleman Hawkins on an interview with us on Monday. And we're just working on times, but I don't know if this throws a wrench in it or not. Coleman has been messaging us and wants to come on the channel Monday. So hopefully he comes. Hopefully we get to interview him, ask him all about this Kansas State fit. Congrats to Coleman Hawkins. Brian, what is your immediate reaction to this as a landing spot for Coleman?
He got $2 million. Not going to tell him that's a bad spot to go. I think from an on-court perspective, it works too. We were just talking about, I think him and Doug McDaniel offensively is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be volatile, but a lot of fun. Kansas State loaded up on some rim protection this offseason as well. You brought a Chor in from Samford. You brought in Yensu in from Kentucky. Like, he's going to have rim protection behind him. He's not going to have to play the 5. And I think from Coleman's standpoint on the court, he is best when he is allowed to play more face-up, float on the perimeter, and use his size against smaller defenders, which you're not going to get playing the 5. Or playing the 4, or even playing the 3 for him, which he can do in some of these lineups, I think is going to benefit him on the court, benefit Kansas State on the court as well. Like, I think Kansas State now has sneaky potential to get in the mix with maybe not the teams at the very top of the Big 12, because those teams are very, very good. But Kansas State might be a top 15 team in the country.
Whoa! 15?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. This is...
You go outside the top like 12 nationally, and everyone's like kind of a crapshoot. Why would you not take a chance? I mean, this roster is going to be so volatile, but why would you not take a chance on the upside here with Jerome Tang? Like, Jerome Tang's best team, like, obviously he's got 2 teams, but the best one had Marquise Noel, and that was the headliner. But Keontae Johnson inside is what like made everything go. And so now you have your Keontae Johnson with Coleman Hawkins and Doug McDaniel being your Marquise Noel.
Yeah, but this, how many
I think better
consecutive
role
years?
players than that team had, better guys around those than that team had.
How many consecutive years are we going to do the Marquise Noel Keontae? Because this was just Arthur Kaluma and Tyler Perry, and they stunk.
Would you rather have Arthur Kaluma or Coleman Hawkins?
Coleman Hawkins. But are we going to ignore all of Doug McDaniel's issues here?
You love Doug.
I love Doug and I love Coleman, but I think like sitting here and talking like
Just
it's
leave it at that.
likely
Just
that-
leave it at that. Just leave it at that. You love them both. It's going to be awesome.
Brian,
It's all rosy right now on June 14th.
Oh my God, this is literally making my brain melt. I just messaged Coleman right now. Again, we've been going back and forth with Coleman, not to brag, but we're trying to figure out when we're recording. And I literally just messaged him, hey, congrats. You and Doug on the same team has me in shambles. Because that's how I feel. Doug was my favorite player ever until he destroyed my program. Coleman Hawkins has been my favorite player for years, even when Coleman Hawkins was publicly hating us and trolling us. So, like, I don't know what to do with this. Here's what I do know.
I think what we do is we need to go to a game in Manhattan, Kansas.
That's for sure. A Kansas State-Kansas game officially has to happen.
It gotta happen.
So, okay, here's what I do know. If Doug McDaniel and Coleman Hawkins play an entire season to their ceilings, Kansas State's going to be great. Like, great. Yeah. Like, in the top 3 teams in the Big 12, great. The issue is that I think there's not many people on earth in this sport that are more volatile than those two guys. Like Coleman shows you a game of his best stuff and then weeks of like Twitter trolls. And Doug shows you 10 seconds of brilliance and then doesn't go to class and doesn't defend at all. So like, look, there's a lot of money being thrown around. First of all, go get that bag, Coleman. I'm happy for you, my dog. That's huge. Coleman stock going up. Let's go. Tell everybody else tell Matt McMahon get his bags up. Tell Pat Kelsey get his money up. But if this goes wrong, like we just talked about, if it goes well, if this goes wrong, there's all-time historic catastrophe potential between a Coleman Hawkins, who's the highest paid player on the team, and Doug McDaniel pairing. Like, is there not? Like, let's now imagine the world where this implodes. What does that look like?
It looks like a team that one of them doesn't finish the season or one of them leaves.
I'm so excited for this, man. This is
it's fun to, I think, speculate on both ends of the spectrum, and I think we will get a little bit of both ends. Like they're a team to me that is going to beat Kansas on Monday and then get blown out by UCF on Saturday and be like a really dangerous 6 seed that if they get a bad matchup, clues in the first round, or if they get a good matchup, can make the Final Four. Like they're that kind of team that you're just not going to know what you're going to get night to night. But the ups are going to be the ability to beat everybody, and the downs are going to be the ability to lose to the worst teams in the Big 12.
What actually happens? Like if we've said the best case, we've said the worst case. There's no team with a higher ceiling, lower floor than Kansas State. What actually happens, and what do Coleman Hawkins' numbers look like in the middle of it?
I think they are a very dangerous 4 or 5 seed. I think Coleman Hawkins is probably in the 16-6 with 3.5 assists.
I mean, that's like a first team all Big 12 type guy, right?
There's a lot of good players in the Big 12. Like that could put him in the mix, but I don't want to go out on the limb and say first team, but I think put more substance behind the skill set and what we think Coleman Hawkins can be. Because I think he can be like an All-American.
All right, I'm gonna say something here. I think it's gonna work. I hate myself for doing this. I think it's gonna work. And not only do I think it's gonna work, I think Doug McDaniel is gonna be the best player on this team, and Coleman's gonna be the second best player, and that's why it's gonna work. Coleman's gonna come in and Even if the number, like there might be games where Coleman pops off. He's going to get to do more with the ball in his hands than he has in a while. But I think like the best version of Kansas State, Doug McDaniel is one of the best guards in the country. And
Yep.
Coleman Hawkins is like the best complementary guy in the country. And I think their skill sets actually do complement each other because straight up,
Yeah.
let's be real about this. As good as Illinois was last season, Coleman hasn't played with a point guard in a couple of years. Like his point guards 2 seasons ago were Sky Clark and Jaden Epps. Those guys ran away. Last year, he didn't have a point guard. And I think it's going to help Coleman to play with a point guard who is as dynamic as Doug. And I think it's certainly going to help Doug. He hasn't had a teammate as good as Coleman Hawkins since, 2 years ago when he played with Hunter Dickinson. So, God, this is the gods specifically trying to kill me, Brian. That's what this is. Like this is the basketball gods trying to give me a heart attack.
Do you look good in purple? Because you're gonna be wearing a lot of purple this year, I feel like.
I have a Kansas State shirt upstairs too. I need to go put it on, but like I don't even know if I'm allowed to root for this. This is terrifying to me.
You are the 5-year-old who's learning like that fire is hot.
Ow. That's how this feels. Ow. The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/NBA-mini-games.